guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a drama from Russia, Russian language English subs, released in the year 2014, directed by Andrei Zhyagintsev, and this movie is called Leviathan. So Leviathan takes place in a coastal town in Russia. You've got this family who are being forced to move out by the corrupt mayor. Now the mayor wants to construct a church there, but basically they don't want to leave and they're going to fight them in the courts. And the courts are basically going against them. This family don't really have anywhere to go. The father is resorting to alcohol. The stepmother doesn't get along with the son, and so the family dynamics are already complicated as they are. So the father gets his brother from Moscow, who's a lawyer, to help them in their fight against this corrupt government, but things are just going from bad to worse, and there is something that happens within the family that is just going to make things even worse, if it could possibly happen. So it all adds up to a very depressing, downbeaten situation that I'm not going to give away. So if you like the way that it sounds and you want to know more, please go out there and see the film for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Leviathan. I really wanted to see this film based on the fact that Andrei Zhyagintsev was the director. He's a fantastic Russian director. He directed a film called The Return that I reviewed a long time ago. I thought that was very good in the way it was actually told. I thought it was a very slow film, but the slow environment of Andrei Zhyagintsev films allow you to get absorbed in the situation. It actually allows you to feel connected to characters. So I think that his very slow burn films are done for a very deliberate reason, and it's to showcase how good this guy actually is. I haven't seen Elena, which is his other film. I really want to see that, and I will soon. But Leviathan comes along. This actually got a lot of attention. It got nominated for Best Foreign Film in the Oscar Awards. It didn't win it, but I can still see why it would get nominated, because this is a fantastic film that is made by a very ballsy filmmaker. Now, a lot of Russians didn't like this movie because of the way it portrayed Russia, and the Russian government, if what I've read is correct, changed the laws concerning films like this because they were concerned about how people would view Russia and the corruption in the Russian government. So for a filmmaker from Russia to do this, I thought it was just a sign of a filmmaker who was willing to make films based on what he feels, and he's kind of exposing the bad things in his own country. And so it's easy to expose bad things from a different country, but when it's your own land, I think it's a very risky move, and it's a move that I can really applaud, because it shows you that he's not scared to make what he wants. So I know filmmakers from around the world, they do this, but they are few and far between. A lot of films are patriotic, a lot of films are very scared to show their governments in a bad light, but Andrei Zhyagintsev is definitely not one of those directors. And what he makes in Leviathan is just an incredibly depressing film, and it's a very scary film, because people that we consider as the people that are supposed to protect us, when they decide to bend the law for their own good, there's basically nothing the little guy can do. So this is a case of David versus Goliath, but in this case, David is not always going to win. So it's not a fairy tale film, and because it's not a fairy tale film, you don't know where this movie is going to go. So I love the plight of this family. The family was brilliantly played. I can't recall the actors, but the father was a very likeable guy. You could sense that he was wanting to do the right thing, but because of all this pressure that was heaped upon this family, you just felt that he was losing control. So he was going to alcohol, and that was basically transforming him into a very aggressive person. So it's kind of like a domino effect, where this government don't really consider the feelings of this family. And it was very disturbing to see that, especially in the courtrooms, where this lady is reading out the verdict, and she's reading it devoid of emotion. Basically, it felt like she was robotic, and it felt like the people that she was reading the verdict against didn't even exist. They didn't even matter. So these rich people, these corrupt people, are trapped in their own little bubble, and the rest of the world doesn't exist. And so the lure of money will substitute whatever these people feel. It actually felt like these guys were cockroaches, and you really barrack for the little guy. You support the little guy in this film, but the tragedy of this movie and the depressing thing about this film is that you're never really satisfied. You're never really happy about the situation. You feel that the situation is only getting worse, especially when there are side stories involving this family that further threaten to divide them all. And so it's just a movie that I thought was very, very powerful, and it just hit me on a level that I wasn't expecting. To some degree, I was expecting the film to be as good as it was because of the fact that this director, but the emotional impact and the bravery the film had, it just showed you corruption in high places. And the scary thing is that this is not only confined to Russia, but also a lot of other countries. So the fight between the corrupt mayor and the family was very intriguing. As I said, it didn't really feel like a fight that was going to be a fair fight, but the way that the mayor twists the law around, I thought was very disturbing. And then when the family gets something on this mayor, I'm not going to give it away, but when they get some information about this mayor and they threaten to basically expose the mayor, the things that he does, it was quite, it was very, very devastating, and I just felt so much sorrow. And it's just the type of movie that if you're wanting the happy outcome where, the good guys are always going to win, then be very careful going into Leviathan, because I just thought that this was a very realistic, eye-opening film that, as I said, a lot of filmmakers out there really wouldn't be able to deliver, because they'd be going in there with a certain sense of hesitation to show their own country the way that Leviathan shows it. So cinematography was excellent. It captures the beautiful the coastal side of Russia. You've got that overall film, although it looks beautiful, is still drained of colour. So it almost feels like you're watching a film that is drained of happiness. It's drained of basically cleansiness. It actually feels like a dirty film, but at the same time you've got the beauty of Russia. So it feels like the beauty of Russia has been clouded over by the ugly, corrupt side of Russia. So when they clash, I thought that the corrupt side of Russia really does expose itself more because it's more powerful. So there's a lot of clashing symbolisms in the film, and I just think this is definitely Andrei Zvyagintse's best film. I would say that it's not a masterpiece for the simple fact that it does take 140 minutes. Now, that works both as a positive and a negative. It's a positive for enthusiastic world cinema lovers, such as myself, where you can really absorb yourself in the situation. It's got a very dull, monotonous tone to it that would put a lot of people off. But for me, it just felt like you were absorbed in the hopeless situation, that they were just waiting for the inevitable. You kind of think to yourself, why don't you just give up, because it's not going to have a happy outcome. And it feels like they're just waiting out each day. And I thought that the very slow build-up was done very purposely, and it actually felt like you were part of this family, and that you were just waiting for what this government were going to say, and you kind of think to yourself, okay, I know what they're going to say, and this is just hopeless. And so Andrei Zvyagintse, he has a lot of time and attention to his movies, but as I said, it's for a very acquired taste. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't give this a perfect score, because there are bits here and there that are a little bit slow, and I thought to myself, Andrei Zvyagintse could have got to the point a little bit faster than he does. But having said that, that was the only negative I had for the film, in what was just a very absorbing tale of corruption and just utter depression, just utter hopelessness, and just the ugly side of life. So if you like these kinds of films, it all adds up to a very devastating ending that I thought was absolutely fantastic. It finished it, it stayed true to its tone, and it was just a movie that I won't forget anytime soon. So if you like this kind of stuff, definitely go out there and see it. I'm going to give it 4 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.